Good evening, Richmond. Thank you for joining us. You are watching your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, as I'm known, on WLEE radio, and we want to thank you for joining us here at Comcast. We've been talking for the last, I think this is our third week this year. We have a 6-week series entitled, Are We Living in American-Style Communism? And we got it rolling off to a good start 2 weeks ago with a good intro. Last week, we followed up with some of the economic aspects of communism. And of course, when you say that word communism, people think, well, you really can't say that about people in America because they harken back to Soviet-style communism. Now, the title of the program is not Are We Living in Soviet-style communism? It's American style. So there are some differences, but we've had a great dialogue these last couple of weeks. The folks here at Comcast have been fantastic. My engineer in there, Akil, has been fantastic. So we want to, as always, thank him and thank the fine folks at Comcast. And if you happen to be watching this on Verizon, we want to thank Verizon as well. And we've had quite a few callers, viewers that have called in to participate in the program, and we appreciate your input as well. And later on in the program this evening, we will again give you an opportunity to phone in with your questions or concerns. And so we want to move forward with our subject matter, American-style communism. Are we currently living under that? Is that some sort of a right-wing, what's this term they like to use, a dog whistle? Okay, some term that people like myself are, who are conservative, Christian, libertarian, limited government oriented. We're supposed to have some sort of dog whistle terminology, secret code language that we throw out there. And so when you say communists, that's supposed to be one of those terms. And of course, now that we have a black president, of course, if you say that, it's supposed to be a no-no because you just can't say these things about the first black president. And it seems that the first 43 presidents, from George Washington to George Bush, you could say anything about them, and people did. And even among the founding fathers, they fought and squabbled. There were jealousies, and there were even hatreds. And this is just a part of humanity. This is the human story. And so humanity is, we are imperfect beings, and only one made perfect, and we're celebrating that this week. This is Easter week. And so we welcome you viewers who are of the Christian faith. As a Christian myself, I have to rank Easter right up there with Christmas. Christmas is one of my favorite times of year. And it's really, most people, it's one of their favorite times of year, even those who view it in a secular way. Now, Easter, on the other hand, you really can't view that in a secular way. And so there are the spring rebirth events like Easter egg hunts and bunny rabbits and things of that have a secular tone. But Easter in and of itself, it's a beautiful thing, and it's a true part of the Christian faith. And it fits in with the theme tonight, because in examining communism, now we are looking at, and again, this is American style communism. This is not communism with goose-stepping thugs with a phalanx of tanks rolling behind them, and everyone is boom, boom, boom. That's 1917. That's march the Romanov family out into the snow-covered streets and shoot them all dead. That's in America. They can't get away with it that way. Folks have too many guns, thanks to the Second Amendment. Okay. Folks have too many, everyone has a little cell phone camera, so they can't sneak and get away with it. And in America, we've been accustomed to too much freedom because this nation was founded on the idea that the government is limited and there to serve you and I. That's the idea. That's what made America great. That's what made the world view America as the number one stopping point if they had to leave their home country. People have voted with their feet for over 200 years that if I had to leave my land of my nativity and I had to choose a country to go to start over again, what country would that be? It's not even close. America is far ahead of all other nations combined. And so this is a great nation. It's a beautiful nation, not a perfect nation, but and I kind of believe this is God's favorite country, America, good old United States of America. And so one of the things that the communists hate is that type of freedom that made America great, a place where people could come, breathe free, and they could realize what God put in them, and that could be brought forth. I mean, even the very word educate in Latin means to bring forth from within, not for some external person to teach you and program you the way the communists do. But in the Christian tradition, in the Judaic tradition, there is a goodness, there is an innate ability to think and reason, and the teacher, instructor, the sage, the mentor, the parent, that person is merely taking what's in you and they're showing you that you have that already and they're bringing it out of you. It's like when you learn to drive, you got behind the wheel and the person teaching you just made sure you didn't hit anything. You taught yourself. You tried this, you tried that, you figured out, if I go too far this way, the car is going to swerve. If I back and forth, it's jerky. And when I find out I don't have to choke it to death, I can just have a light hand and I can relax. And wow, I can drive. You taught yourself to drive. That's freedom. That's freedom. There was no one there with a whip that was going to beat you if you made a mistake. And so this is the beauty of America. And this is the beauty of freedom. This is what God himself has instituted in man. He created us with free will. And I ask any parent, okay, I have a son and a daughter, and trust me, folks, they both exercise their free will. They're wonderful children. They always have been. They're fine. They're both college graduates. One's married and a mother of 5. The other one's just finishing college, so marriage is off a little ways in the distance there. But trust me when I say, and I know you parents out there are nodding in agreement. Yep, just based on that alone, humanity is created with free will. And so this heavy-handedness that communism represents, it goes 100% against the way we are created. And so, and one of the main things they really want to control everything that is in competition with the hierarchy of the communist power structure. And I do mean everything. Family, your economic resources or business. They want to totally control and regulate that. Religion. And so that's the one we're going to focus on. We're going to focus mainly on the faith aspect today, and particularly this being Holy Week. We have Good Friday coming up in 2 days. We have Easter Sunday. We have Easter Monday. We have a celebration of the fact that people, by the grace of God, by the grace of God, have the opportunity, in spite of our many flaws and imperfections. And I know many of you like me will say, when it comes to where the sinners are, we just get right in the front of the line. But the beautiful thing about the Christian faith and America, in spite of what Barack Obama has said, Barack Hussein Obama, in spite of what he said, America is a Christian nation. Are we a perfect Christian nation? Well, I would have to say no. But on the other hand, what is a perfect Christian nation? After all, Christianity itself is defined by the fact that you don't have to be perfect. because it's a gift. It's grace. Grace is a gift that's given when it's not deserved. It's not by the law. It's not by the fact that we're so good and so perfect, we're so righteous. Now, the enemy would portray us that way in order to do what communist nations always do: divide. That's what conquerors do: divide. Divide, destroy, conquer. And that's an old term for a reason: divide and conquer. Leaders unite. And so there's much in this nation that we can unite around. We can unite, and this is an 85% Christian nation. And the fact that many of us perhaps are not getting what we may have envisioned we would get from, perhaps our home base of our faith, where maybe we were baptized, we were taken there as children, and that's where we grew. And quite often people migrate and they switch churches, and there's disillusionment here and there because we can't put our faith in these individuals. And so we have that freedom to be able to do that. Now, in some areas of this world where there's this communistic, heavy-handed, top-down, the people at the top are the elites, and you do what they say or else, you don't have that type of freedom. Most notably in the Islamic world, you do not have that type of freedom. There's more, for all the talk of the Crusades or Christians killing Muslims, the simple absolute fact is that most Muslims that have been killed by fellow Muslims. That's just a simple, absolute, historical, numerical fact. And when America has fought communist powers, in the past, the Muslim world has united with the losing side, the side of darkness, the side of evil, the side of control, the side that goes against what God's will. Because see, God's word is that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there also is liberty. And so communism hates liberty, just like Satan hates liberty. And so there's a connection there. And what we have in this American style communism is not an overt, they're not going to roll tanks over churches. They're not going to blow churches up the way over in the Middle East. It's not going to be done the way the former Soviet Union did it or the way China did it. It's just not going to be done that way. Because again, this is not Soviet style communism. This is American style communism. So it's a subtlety. And I mean, even right in the very beginning of this book here, it says Satan, the serpent, was the most subtle animal of the field. He's not animalistic. He's slick. He's cool. He's calm. He's collected. And he whispers into the hearts of men. And so what we have is just like in the economic realm, the communist world, it goes into a realm of fascism where the elites of the Communist Party structure get together with the elites in the business world. These are what's commonly known as oligarchs, very, very rich people who head very, very large companies. And these same communists that say this is for the proletariat or this is for the common man. Now in America, the way they say that, they don't use the word proletariat. In America, the words that are used, that they mean the exact same thing though. And I've heard this my entire life, and many of you have heard this your entire lives. They say the Democrat Party is the party of the working man, the common man, the little guy, the poor, the black, the minority, the women. And the Republican Party is the party of the rich, the elite, the white man, the wealthy, and nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. And the absolute fact is that this is a grand trick because, again, in Soviet-style communism, they just did it with guns. And the one who was the most organized, who had the most guns, who had the most viciousness, that's the one who won. The Middle East is the same way. It's the most vicious is the one that wins, not the one who has the most goodness, who has the most concern for his fellow humanity. It wouldn't be the Good Samaritan who, as Jesus would say, your neighbor would be anyone that would be in need of your aid, wouldn't necessarily your physical neighbor who lives next to you. And the Christian world, the Western world, the world that won World War I and World War II and is currently back on their heels in this next great battle to defeat communism. That world is not really aware of what is going on because there's been a great sellout by the elites. And so these elites, again, they don't call themselves comrade anymore. they call themselves senator, president, president of the International Monetary Fund, head of the United Nations. They call themselves university president. They call themselves I call them eco pimps, just like poverty pimps, but they call themselves they're concerned about the ecology. And all of this is to get you to willingly cede over to them your sovereignty, your freedom. You see, the promise of America is that you, the individual, you, not the government works for you to secure your freedoms. Says so right here in the preamble to this Constitution. The purpose of government is to secure your freedom, not to give you your freedom. This is what we have to be careful. I often hear commentary on TV and radio when people discussing things such as this Obamacare, and in the middle of that, there's a lot of religious restrictions that are saying, for example, that there are many Catholic hospitals and Catholic universities, and they have many employees, not all of whom are Catholic, and the insurance that they are required to purchase on behalf of their employees, which really the honest truth of the matter is the employee purchases it. It's just there's an unnecessary middleman, which is another way to trick you, because that money comes from the dollar that you earn. It's a portion of your wage. If we'll give you $20 an hour in wages, we'll give you $8 an hour in benefits. You really have earned $28 an hour. It's your money. They're tricking you. And so the Catholic Church is pushing back, saying, no, some of these drugs are abortifacients, and we do not believe in aborticide. And that's consistent with Christian thought, that one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not murder, I think is commandment number 6, thou shalt not murder. And aborticide is murder. It's not abortion. Abortion happens spontaneously when nature determines that there's something not going right, and nature will take care of that so that you can get a fresh start. But aborticide is a decision, and quite often has to do with the convenience of the mother and the sperm donor. I don't want to use the term father in that equation. The mother and the sperm donor. And so that's just irresponsible. They engage in this activity, and then they don't want to accept the responsibility for the consequences of said activity. And so now new life is created. There's no longer 2 people. Now there are 3 people there. That third one has a soul, just like the other 2 have a soul. It's just that third one is helpless and can't speak for itself. And so we who speak for that one, we who are Christians, we who are conservatives, we who make up the center right of this nation, we are the ones that they say, well, you don't care about the little person. Well, the littlest person, see this little pin right here? That's a pair of feet, okay? Maybe I might need to get my cameraman to come in here and zero in on this little pin. These feet, they're about a half inch. If you could just zero the camera in, this is the size of a baby's feet at 10 weeks old. And you can count every last toe. 10 weeks. Okay, I'm going to sit it right here in the middle of the screen. 10 weeks. Okay, and so a dear friend of mine gave me this pen. Don Blake, the chairman over at the Virginia Christian Alliance, and I appreciate that. So I'm giving my buddy Don a shout out here. And the Virginia Christian Alliance, they're in the forefront here in Virginia in the fight for the life of the unborn. And so, and that's an extension of our faith. And so what's going on with this modern communism. And again, there's no tanks, there's no marching soldiers, not yet anyway. I mean, unless you're a Bundy. If you're out at the Bundy Ranch in Nevada, there's soldiers and maybe not tanks, but great big huge trucks and snipers and everything, things they would never take to the border to protect the border, but they'll take it to a rancher. But that's not the communism. It's a subtle communism. And maybe not so subtle, but they're pressuring you. And they want you to crack. They want you to give up. They want you to have no hope. And they want you to willingly give up your right to be a Christian, or if you want to submit to the faith of Christianity, Judaism, whatever faith you choose, they want you to give that up. And here in the National Day of Prayer, Obama put so much emphasis on, this is a day for atheists and this is a day for non-believers. This is a day for agnostics. And Obama takes more time talking about the non-believers than he does the believers who believe in prayer. I mean, if the atheists don't believe in prayer, then they don't need to be mentioned in the day of prayer. Now, if it's the day of the Constitution, then yeah, you can say, Mr. Obama, that the Constitution, and it does, the Constitution protects Christians, Jews, Muslims, Sikhs. It protects everyone, male, female, rich, poor, black, white. It even protects the unborn if you really look at it right. It protects them, but of course, who's going to speak for them? Because they can't speak for themselves. They can't say, well, hey, turn to page so-and-so. I have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They can't say that. They can't even say that after they're born. And there are people like Zeke Emanuel who helped Obama write the Obama scam law. And you might think of it as the Affordable Care Act or the Obamacare law. I call it what it is, the Obama scam law. And this Zeke Emanuel also wrote a book where he said that a child has no right to live, that because the child can't feed itself, it can't take care of itself, it has no concept of itself, it has no concept of a future, that until it becomes what they call self-aware, that it won't hurt the child for the child to die. So if the parent has second thoughts, no, I don't think I like that one, then just don't feed the child, let the child die. These are your Democrats that look out for the downtrodden, the poor, and the helpless. Now, what would be more helpless than a little baby? This is American-style communism. A couple of years ago, I interviewed a woman, Jill Stanek, a nurse at a hospital in Chicago called Christ Hospital, of all the names you could have. There was a conspiracy to commit aborticide against an innocent baby. The mother, the doctor, and everyone in the operating room had conspired to commit aborticide and kill this baby. And what happened was the baby did not want to cooperate. So the baby had the temerity to be born alive in spite of the efforts of all these professionals to kill this baby. And Jill Stanek, being a nurse, wanted to give care to that baby, but Illinois state law required that in the event that an intended abortion is not executed properly and the baby is born alive, the baby does not have the right to receive medical care. And see, now, these Democrats, these communists, these socialists, these fascists, because they're all of the same stripe. Now, I'm not speaking of you ma and pa Democrat out there, so hold your horses. I'm speaking of the people that run the show. These are the people that have convinced you that this is the correct way to go. I'm in the process of trying to unconvince you. So I'm utilizing the free marketplace of ideas and expressing myself. And in a few minutes, we're going to put the phone number up on the screen, and you can call in, you can agree or you can disagree. That's your right. And hopefully we can be respectful about it. And if you can't be respectful, I'll just hang up, because I have the button. Okay. But back to Jill Stanek, and my interview with her is in my archive. You can Google Brother Craig the Hatchet Man, and one of the things, 4 or 5 pages of things that will pop up. One of the things that will pop up when you Google Brother Craig the Hatchet Man, or Bing, or whatever you want to use, would be my Blog Talk Radio website. And you'd have to scroll. There are well over 200 interviews in that archive. If you just scroll through, or if you put on the end of it /Jill Stanek, then it'll take you straight to it. But you can check that interview. And this woman says that this baby that was born alive would not cooperate. It would not die. She wanted to care for the baby. They would not let her wipe the baby off. They would not let her feed the baby. They would not let her clothe the baby. They would not let her put a blanket on the baby. They put the baby on a cold stainless steel table and shoved the baby into a soiled linen closet. And this was Miss Stanek's testimony to senators, one of whom was Barack Hussein Obama, as they were attempting to change the law in the state of Illinois. State Senator Obama was the only senator that rose to speak against the passage of this law, that Miss Stanek was a part of the group that was championing this law. And again, this is a part of our Christian faith. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not murder. Mr. Obama was the only one of the Democrats to speak against the passage of this law. Now, the law went down party lines, as you would expect, and the law went down to defeat. All the Democrats, again now, in the communist ideology, they're comrade, they're the champion of the proletariat, the working man, yeah. In the Democrat world, it's the same lie that they tell. And nowhere where this has ever been a complete takeover has the proletariat benefited. The only thing that has happened is the middle class got wiped out. The proletariat, the working class, the poor, that class grew, and you entrenched the powerful elite in position where their authority could not be challenged. Unlike in America, where you have free enterprise, you can challenge Walmart. You can challenge Coca-Cola. You can challenge AT&T. You can challenge, and these are giants. Many of us remember there used to be a thing called Best Products, out of business now. Why? H.H. Gregg came to Richmond, put them out of business. Okay? Best Products had a jacked up way of doing things. Big warehouse, it was complicated, convoluted. You had to stand in line twice. Folks don't want to do that. They went out of business. Free enterprise. Free enterprise. The creative destruction of free enterprise. It's a beautiful thing. Communists don't like that. That's competition. They don't like that. They don't like that. And so they hate the fact that you have people like Jill Stanek. They hate the fact that even you have people like your humble little Brother Craig the Hatchet Man, humble little old country boy on the radio, on TV, kicking butt, writing articles, giving speeches. They hate this. They hate this. On my radio program, I'm on WLEE 990 AM on every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. And every week there's an idiotic Negro that every week calls up to call me all kinds of silly names. And to me, it's a badge of honor, because this is how you're being effective. Jesus himself, I think is John 15, chapter 18th verse. Jesus himself said, they will hate you. They will hate you because they hated me, and they hate me because they hate my Father. The world loves its own. I didn't write it. Those are Jesus's words here in Easter week. And so, yeah, they oppose Jill Stanek, and they oppose all types of things. They want this total information control so that they can say to you who are maybe nominal Christians, maybe you believe, you were reared in the church, You have a background. You understand the language. You're supposed to be the sheep, in a sense. You know, open your Bible. You can go right back to the book of John, I think chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep know my name. The sound of truth, it has a certain ring in your ear. And so these communists are dulling your senses. They're purchasing your loyalty. They're offering you 30 pieces of silver. They're offering you like Esau and Jacob in the Bible. Esau sold his birthright to his brother for a bowl of beans. This is built, and this is the whole, the Islamic and the Jewish community. Esau, that's the Arab world. Was the firstborn, but didn't do it the right way, but still had the birthright, but sold the birthright to satisfy his physical sustenance, which was temporary. And he sold something which was eternal. Talk about a bad deal. Talk about a bad deal. So this is the communism. It's like I said, it's not a gun. It's subtle. Now, in the background, there's a gun, but the gun is not up front in your face as it was in the Soviet Union. And so there's nothing subtle about the way the Soviet Union or China or Pol Pot in Cambodia. I mean, Pol Pot killed 1/3 of his whole country. I mean, let me share with you some of what these people have done in these overtly communist countries where we have to sort of connect the dots here in America. But I have, as a matter of fact, I was sharing a little bit of that article. Here it is. 50 to 60 million people have died in international and civil wars fighting against communism. And these figures are, by the way, are from Professor Rudolph Rummel, a professor of political science at the University of Hawaii and the author of Death by Government. And since the beginning of the 20th century, governments have killed 170 million of their own citizens. Top government killers were the Soviet Union, 62 million. And that was just between 1917 and 1987. That's just 70 years, folks. China, between 1949 and 1987, 40 million. I mean, and we can go on and on. 16 million the Nazis. And again, Nazi is what? National Socialist Party. Some Nazi killed 3 people in Kansas City a couple of days ago. And the left wing, I mean, even left wingers on my own radio station, they've been trumpeting all this. Oh, you have to admit, there's a racist tinge to the Republican Party. Now, I don't know if the individual is a liar or just does not have his facts straight. I don't know which. But I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. The actual facts show that the Democrats favor large government. Large government taken to its extreme is communism, is socialism, is fascism. Limited government is the moderate position, because a far right scenario would be anarchy, which means no government. So you have anarchy, no government. You have communism, fascism, socialism, which that's government in control of everything, which is where this country is headed. The healthcare is 1/6 of this country. They have education. They're working on getting food production, and they're working on controlling the land. And that'll be your total life. And this eco-pimp stuff, that's controlling you by guilt tripping you that you're going to destroy the planet. So the government, total government control, and you have to fit American-style communism right in there with the Soviet Union, China. It's just the murders haven't happened yet. Because there was a point in all of these peoples with Mao, Lenin, Pol Pot, there was a point where they had not yet killed a lot of people, but they got to the point when they got to power, and then you had people that didn't want to go along with the plan. Case in point, in the Ukraine, 10 million people starved to death in the breadbasket of Europe. In China, on top of the 40 million, you have to look at all of the abortions, because one child policy. Unless you're well connected, one child. hundreds of millions of abortions. 57 million in this country. And in the black community in New York City, there are more abortions than are live births among black women. More. Among married black women in New York City, there are 4.4 times the likelihood that a married black woman will have an abortion than a married white woman. And remember that Margaret said, again, this communism is slick. They set these clinics up. They get some nice, pretty, articulate woman like Faye Waddington, black woman, educated. They get preachers, throw a few dollars through, give each one of these Negro preachers his 30 pieces of silver, and get them on board with this aborticide. And the next thing you know, black Americans who were the largest minority are now the second largest minority. Why? You're killing the fruit of your womb. Communism. And they don't have to pull a gun out and shoot you. They're convincing you, again, subtlety. American style communism. American style communism. Subtle. Get you to do it yourself. Get you to sell your American birthright for a bowl of beans. Get you in leadership positions to accept your 30 pieces of silver. Get you politicians to attack a woman like Jill Stanek, who just wants to hold a little baby, a baby that had the temerity to be born anyway, in spite of the fact that the mother, the doctor, the nurses, the administration were all in cahoots to commit aborticide against an innocent little baby. And the baby says, I'm not going to cooperate this. I'm not going to die. I want to live. And that baby cried and cried and cried for 45 minutes while Jill Stanek held that baby in her arms, took that baby out of that soiled linen closet, sat on the floor in that linen closet with that baby and cried. American style communism. Caller, you can call back and we'll take your call. Numbers on the screen, 915-5202. So this is a little bit of American style communism, folks. They want to attack any way there's a competition for the loyalty to the state. And so the state, it becomes a godless religion. So you can't worship God. You can't worship Jesus. You're on live as we discuss communism in America. I want to thank you for your call.
How you doing?
I'm very, very well. Thank you.
Listen, do you know the definition of communism, sir?
Look, this is, if you have a comment, make your comment, sir. It's the state ownership of all means of production. And I think you called me a couple of weeks ago and you're so stupid, sir. You asked me if I was aware that there was a thing called a global economy. Now, we're not going to waste, the viewers are interested in what I have to say. We're not going to waste time. Now, once you get directly to your point, sir.
In order for me to get to my point, you have to understand what I'm saying to you. My problem is that when I listen to you talk, it's clear there's a tremendous amount of things, that you don't understand. And so therefore, rather than engage in discourse, I'm trying to make sure you understand certain points before I can elaborate my point. Otherwise, I can talk to you, but if you don't understand what I'm saying, what good would it do?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You're smart, I'm dumb, and I don't understand, okay? It's just, if there's someone has an intelligent comment or wants to participate in an intelligent way, but I'm here, I'm having a program about communism, and you want to know, do I know what communism is? And the reality, sir, is that Lenin himself, all right, and I don't think you know more about communism than Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. I don't think so, sir. But Lenin himself said universal health care is the keystone to the archway of socialism. And socialism, the purpose of socialism is communism. It's all about power and control and money. That's what it's all about. But when the communists, and you can call them whatever you call them, sir. You can call them socialists. You can call them communists. You can call them fascists. What do they have in common? You can call them crony capitalists like here in America. Now, what do they have in common? What they have in common is none of them believe in free enterprise. None of them believe in a free exchange of ideas. None of them believe in a freedom of conscience. Anything you attach that word free to, the way God created you, see, these are two things they don't like. Faith in God and this Constitution that gives you freedom. And see, and people like you, sir, are so stupid, you don't understand that you are Esau. You are Esau. For a promise of a bowl of beans today, and out of that bowl of beans could be a little small welfare check. That bowl of beans could be this Obama scam. You're going to get a government subsidy. And so you get to go to the doctor and other people pay for you to go. You don't pay. That bowl of beans could be you tell a lie and you claim you have a bad back, or maybe like me, maybe you have a bad back. I go to work every day with my bad back. But when people sell their soul for that bowl of beans from the government, again, it's subtle. This is American style. This is not Lenin style. This is not Mao style. This is not Pol Pot style. They're not going to pull a gun out and shoot 1/3 of the country. They'll kill 1/3 of you in other ways, but not in a way that they can be blamed. They'll let some disease come in here like they tried to do when the flu was down in Mexico and they refused to shut the border down. They wanted that flu outbreak to happen so they could rush and claim to be the hero, and while a lot of people would die because they believe in reducing population. Homosexuality, abortion, this is the Platonic way. And Plato believes that doctors were there to serve the state, i.e. control people like you. And you love it. You like it. And I should be asking you, sir, do you know what communism is? Because obviously you do not know what it is. You do not know the danger. You do not understand that in this nation there are thousands of people, thousands, who have fathers, grandfathers, uncles, great uncles, brothers, husbands, wives that gave their life in the fight against communism. And then here we are embracing communism. And a part of that communistic way is to fight anything that would compete with the power of the state. And the fascistic style of communism is it's a manipulation of business. In this country, we call it crony capitalism. In Western Europe, they call it socialism. In China, it still is communism with capitalism for the few. In Cuba, it's total 100% communism. And so in all these different places, they call it different things. It's styled slightly differently. And it's based on what the tolerance level of the population is, what the intellectual level of the population is, what the history of that society is, and how armed you are. Can you fight back? See, in America, we can fight back, so they have to trick you. They went to the Ukraine. And when Clinton was president, they told the Ukraine, if you give your nukes up, if you get rid of your army, the Soviet Union is no longer a threat. If they ever rear their ugly head again, if Gog of Magog, again, Book of Revelation, if Gog of Magog rears its ugly head and threatens you again. Now, this is a country that were forcibly starved to death to the tune of 10,000 people per day, could not eat the food that they grew, or else you'd be shot. And so millions of people died from starvation. Do I know what communism is? Ridiculous. But back to American style communism. And again, the focus, I've been talking a little bit more about the economics. And matter of fact, we're going to do another show with the economic side. I'm hoping to have an economist and a professor to come onto the program with me, and we can delve into it a little deeper, the economic side of what the really real deal is about this, because it's not about a bunch of people that hate capitalism. They hate the equality of capitalism. They hate the egalitarian nature of capitalism. They hate the fact that, hold one moment, caller. They hate the fact that in the free enterprise version of capitalism, anybody can be born at any station in life and can rise as high as their capacity, and they're willing to work with honesty, integrity, to work smart, to work hard. They can rise as high as they choose, irrespective of what the powerful people may say or think or do. You're on live, caller.
Yeah, I have a comment. I'm a disabled vet.
Yes. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you. I get a government check.
Which you've earned.
I get free health care from the Veterans Administration.
Which you've earned.
For the rest of my life. And I also work.
Now, may I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Are you equating something that you've earned? You don't get free health care. You don't. Your terminology is wrong. You have what you're getting is the result of a contract that you entered into. You entered into a contractual agreement with the United States of America. The United States of America said, sir, if you do X, Y, Z, i.e. if you serve honorably in the military for X number of years, if you do your part, we will do our part, and we have a contract. That's not free, sir. That was bought and paid for. Just like if I buy an insurance policy on my automobile and if the insurance company says, well, my part is I'm going to send you $200 a month. Your part is if I wreck my vehicle, you're going to fix it even if it costs $20,000. So now if I wreck my vehicle, they're not giving me anything free. They're giving me what I've entered into it's a contractual arrangement.
But being that I'm in that situation, okay, I know other people who did not serve in the military.
Okay.
Who
should they get what you got, in other words?
Yes, sir.
Now, okay, that's an excellent point. Now, you paid the price. Now, let's just analyze it not from stage one thinking, because in stage one thinking, we could say that everyone should have whatever they desire, whether that's free health care, free food, a free house, a free car. As a matter of fact, if you're giving out free cars, I'm going to trade in my Ford Explorer Expedition. I'm going to trade my Expedition in, and I want me a Lincoln Continental truck and a Rolls Royce, if it's free. If it's free. And see, and that's the problem, sir. Once you start making everything free, then the demands that people place on, if you walk by a big stand of apples, and you have a big sign up there that says free apples, and you're out at a fair and there's 10,000 people there, and you have 1,000 apples. How long before you run out of apples?
But at the same time,
sir, how long before you run out of apples?
I'm not finished my statement though.
But I'm going to let you finish. I want to know, sir, if it's free, then if people can walk by and just pick up as many apples as they want, then you're going to run out fast. But if you say, okay, each apple is a nickel, or each apple is 50 cents, or each apple is $1, at some point you're going to reach an equilibrium where people are going to weigh out, okay, I have a limited number of dollars. Do I really, really want that apple? And so people are going to make an investment in what they want. So the man who produced those apples has the resources to go out, and next year he can trim his trees, he can fertilize, he can put insecticide and put oil on so that the bugs don't eat the apples. Why? So next year, another one of your fellow human beings can have an apple.
Suppose you don't have the resources.
Well, sir, if you don't have the resources, then no one has apples, because if all the apples get taken free, then the producer of the apples cannot produce a crop next year. He won't have gas to put in his truck to bring the apples. The system can't work with everything free. And yours is not free. You're being tricked into saying that it's free. And so when a guy like me talks about free enterprise, you get threatened. You thinking that I want to take something from you. Sir, nothing could be further from the truth. I don't want to take anything from you. I applaud you and people like you.
You added a lot of stuff that I really think was unnecessary.
But was it true, sir?
Wait a minute.
Was it true?
Where's my point? No, you see, because you're trying to overtalk me, and I'm trying to make a point.
Go ahead, sir.
There's individuals in this city, and I'm around a lot that needs help. Okay, in the city of Richmond.
And what kind of education did they have? A private education or a free education?
Whether or not they had an education, whether or not some individuals have addiction issues, some individuals have mental health issues, some individuals just have the lack of information issues.
Sir.
And wait a minute, let me finish.
Please do.
Okay? It's my personal opinion, and that resources should be available.
They are.
Free of charge.
Okay.
No,
now, let me come back, and then I'll let you come back. It's a dialogue. You made your statement. Let me come back, and then I'll give you one more shot. Sound fair?
You didn't even let me finish my statement.
Okay. Well, I need you to hurry up then. Go ahead and finish it if there's more.
Yeah. Free of charge and housing, and food, and medical assistance, and in order to gain some type of dignity and some type of job training, there is
all free. All free. So the Dominion power should be free. So everything free. Everything free. Okay, all right, sir.
I have no problem with it.
Sir, we got 10 minutes left in the program. You got to let me answer you. Well, okay, fine. Thank you. And sir, I'm not being rude. I was hoping you'd stay on so that you could reply to my reply. Because I've never heard, I've never said it, nor have I ever heard any conservative Christian libertarian say that the mentally handicapped should not be cared for. I've never heard that. I've never heard a Tea Party group or not an individual Tea Party member say this. I've never heard anyone say the elderly should not be cared for. These are left-wing lies used to this is American style communism. Okay? The truth is the first casualty. This is an information war. And so the object is to paint conservatives and Christians as somehow mean-spirited, that I would want to take something from you, and you've earned it. And you incorrectly stated that yours is free. It's not free. You earned it. You paid for it. You're simply receiving what you paid for. In the same way that anyone who has any type of insurance arrangement, you pay in, and then when there's a need, you receive. And in those cases where there is no need, then the numbers work out so that it balances out. And that's free market insurance. And a portion of the wages that you earn, sir, went into being able to pay for that. And so this is a free market approach that has worked throughout the history of modern humanity, throughout the Industrial Revolution, throughout modern society. That system has worked, and that system can work, and that system will work. But what has happened is that government elites who do not want to engage in free enterprise, who do not want to engage in competition, they don't want to compete with God. They don't believe, and Obama himself went against this in 2004 interview. You can YouTube it. He hates the Bill of Rights because the Bill of Rights says to you, sir, that the government cannot, will not, shall not, and must not do to you X, Y, and Z. It makes you above the government because the government is there to serve you. but to serve you in a way of keeping order, setting the rules, and being like the referee in a game, not to be a decider of who wins the game. That's not the job of the referee. And so your desire to see poor people get everything free, my desire is to see poor people have an opportunity to be employed, to see poor people incentivized to do for themselves, to see poor people rise up. That's true dignity. Dignity is not a beggar laying on the sidewalk and you come up and you give him something. I don't care if it's a pittance or if you give him a voucher card where he can go to the store and get him a nice hot meal, or they take these food vouchers and they buy all kinds of things with it. People are playing pornography online with their food vouchers. People, you go down to the poor community, you can go right now and there's somebody that will sell you their food stamp card for 50 cents on the dollar. Right now you could do that, sir. There are people that have free housing right now. So let's decide what is dignity. What is dignity? And I've worked in these areas. I've owned property in some of these areas. And I'm here to tell you, sir, what I've observed in these areas is not dignified. But when welfare reform occurred back in the 90s, and the Democrats fought it, the Republicans passed it, Clinton finally signed it, and then thumped his chest and acted like he had done something great. When, same thing when President Johnson and President Kennedy voted against the civil rights bills. Then when they finally passed, everyone wants to give them the credit. That's true dignity. When people are enabled. Now, those that will never be able to do that due to mental infirmity, we're in favor of caring for them. We're in favor of charity. We're in favor of that. But this idea that somehow I or people like me or Tea Partiers or Christians or conservatives, that we want to take Social Security from the elderly, that we want to take military benefits from those who have honorably served and have earned. It's not free, sir. You earned it. You paid for it. That's a part of the communist plan to divide this nation. And so conquerors divide, leaders unite. Now, my goal is to unite people around these principles, this Constitution that makes you supreme and it empowers you, that it empowers everyone, rich, poor, black, white, male, female. It matters not. It empowers all equally. And this, Paul said, there is no male, there is no free, there is no female, there is no free, there is no bond. All are in Christ. And that's something to think about as we head into Easter week. As we head into Easter week, as we have a gift of salvation that we cannot earn, but it's by the grace of God that we can just receive it if we but humble ourselves and ask. And so I want to thank that gentleman for calling. I want to thank you for your service, sir. And I'm very emphatic about this. This is one of the biggest lies that I have to fight. And Republicans and grand old party members, they're afraid of this fight. I'm not afraid of it, and I'm going to fight it every opportunity that I get. Because that's all a part of this communistic scheme, is that so they don't have to overtly kill you. They can convince you to reduce your own population. They can tell you that if you don't get something free, somehow it's unfair. So they can do all these things, and in every area that they control, whether it's education, the projects, these places are absolute hotbeds of mayhem. And so we're gonna get back on this again next Wednesday. And again, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank my engineer, Akia. We're down to about a minute in tonight's program. And what we're going to do, we're going to be continuing to discuss these things on WLEE 990 AM, which is the big dog for talk radio in Central Virginia. We're going to continue discussing these things on my Blog Talk Radio show. If you'd like to invite me out, and these programs will be posted on my Facebook page, and they are up on YouTube. And they're on this station here has its own channel. So these will be posted there. You can distribute them. And I can be reached. My email address is on the screen. I can receive emails. If you'd like me to come out to any group, large or small, I will come out and I will share with you. So we just want to say thank you again. And we're going to be here next week, same time, 9 p.m. God bless you, Richmond, and have a wonderful Easter weekend.